Grand Rising. Happy Tuesday. It's been a while. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody had a positive, peaceful, productive weekend. My weekend was yesterday, but, in reality, it's just another day, right? I do have to work today, so I'm going to try not to do a bunch of rambling and push through majority of the cards today. Today is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Ashe. All right, our mantra for the day. It looks like little mice growing some kind of flower, working in the garden. There's 3 of them. Today, I'm going to fall in love with all the little taken for granteds that make this world so wild and dynamic. The planetary design team really went all out on this one. It's been a while since we've seen that one. But of course, as always, gratitude, making itself known, being grateful for all the little things that most of us every day have a tendency to take for granted. Whether it's the fact that you woke up this morning, the fact that you can breathe without a machine, you can walk without assistance, it's going to be different for everybody, but being grateful for all the little things. All right, our grief affirmation. Healing is not linear, it's a spiral. I will encounter the same wounds many times, but gain new perspective with each passage. It really came up a lot in my day yesterday, finding the positive in the pain. No matter what the painful situation is that we're going through, whether it's loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a home, whatever it is, there's always something that can be learned from that situation if we can take the time to look at it from a different perspective. A lot of times that doesn't happen until we can look at it from a non-emotional perspective. When we can look at different situations, excuse me, without the emotion affecting how we look at it, there's usually a lot that can be learned from it. All right, now we'll get an affirmation from the Wild Offering Oracle. Then we'll get our chakra affirmation. Get our incense lit for the day. Grand Rising. I hope everybody's having a peaceful, positive, productive start to your day today. I know it's been a while since we've been here, but nonetheless, we're here now. Being enough. The innermost heart says you are enough. Nowhere to go, nothing to get, nothing to change. No need to grow more deserving. Yes, you are love. Knowing that we're all worthy of love. We are enough the way we are. But we talk about it here often, the self-love, loving yourself enough to not stay stuck where you are. Loving yourself enough to grow, to learn, to experience different perspectives. Look at that. We got positivity on the top of the deck, relationship on the bottom of the deck. If you can find even one thing, I don't know why my throat started messing up all of a sudden. If you can find even one thing to be grateful for, it will restore you to the light. Please, dear God, let me always feel gratitude for something, even a tiny thing in the hardest of situations. Very much lining up with the morning mantra. Today, I'm going to fall in love with all the little taken for granteds that make this world so wild and dynamic. And then relationship. I call in the infinite power of love to take over this union in every way. May it now fully belong to the divine. Let it unfold in the perfect way for each of us. I needn't fear letting go of control. My needs are always abundantly met. Having faith. I watched a video yesterday where the lady was talking about faith and fear cannot coexist. You know, if you're living in a state of fear, then you're not walking in faith. Uh, I did a small little card pull yesterday, and the card from the Mary Magdalene came out where it talked about being in the present, you know, taking intentional breaths to bring yourself back to the moment. Grand Rising, happy Tuesday. Hello, Matthew. What you yapping about? I don't know. You can hang around and find out. All right, now we'll pull a chakra wisdom affirmation. You know, when she was talking about the faith over fear, she was talking about different situations that we experience, like in our childhood, that we carry trauma with. And a lot of times we bury that so deep that we forget about them. We forget that that was a pain that we experienced because it's buried so deep under so many other things. But as we begin to heal our inner child, our spiritual side, whatever healing it is that you're working on, as we begin to heal, we start to uncover things. And sometimes, you know, well, all the time, God works in mysterious ways. And we experience certain situations or relationships with different people that help us remember those things that we've buried so deep. And it allows us to be able to look at them as an adult or just from a different perspective, which can allow some, you know, really deep healing. You know, things that, it doesn't happen to me often, but it does happen, where you'll just like, perfect example, it just happened to me yesterday. I went to the bank, and it was the first time I had ever been inside this bank, and the smell of the bank smelled like how my mom's house used to smell. And I'm pretty sure it was, you know, some kind of candle or air freshener that they were using. But it smelled like my mother's house to the point where I told the woman, I was like, you know, you don't have to, I don't know why my throat has started messing up. You don't have to hurry, because she was apologizing for it taking so long. And I told her, I said, it's okay. And I told her, I said, this is the first time I've ever been inside here, and it smells like my mother's house used to smell. And she said, is your mother not with you anymore? And I said, no. And she just smiled, and she said, mine isn't either. She said, I know it's hard. But that brought up something in me, that it was like a mixture of emotions. Like, it made me happy because I started remembering good memories that we had in the house. But then on the other side, you know, it almost gave me a little opportunity to heal a little bit, because it's not very often that I have moments like that. So that's just an example of how, you know, how those little moments can occur. Okay, we got fifth chakra, throat chakra, communication. I do believe throat chakra is patchouli. Yes, it is. And look at that. It was right there on top. I did rearrange over here a little bit. I've been saying quite productive. You know, sometimes you just have to take a break from social media. And that's what I did. I guess it's been about 2 weeks now. But I got new bed sheets. I got new beds for the dogs. They seem to really like them. Not really, you know, like an advertisement or anything, but because I don't even know what brand I ended up getting. But I ended up seeing this type of bed on an advertisement for Temu. Well, I don't use Temu, so I went to Amazon and tried to find one similar. And it's those little cot beds, where it's like suspended up off the floor. They really like them. Okay. I communicate openly and honestly to express my thoughts and feelings clearly. I share my inner knowledge freely with integrity and without fear. Look at that. We were just talking about that. My aim is to be fully understood by others. I am open to giving and receiving and will be careful not to talk excessively and make it all about me. I create space in my conversations for others to communicate with me. I inquire about others' thoughts and feelings, as listening to their truth can be uplifting. Taylor Swift. I don't know the name of the song. The Anti-Hero. Yeah. Not a huge fan of her, but nonetheless, okay, sharing your truth, doing it without fear, walking in faith, not in fear, being your authentic self, communicating authentically. You know, I say it a lot, that quote from the movie, the truth, you want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Well, sometimes that may be the case. You know, somebody may not be able to handle the truth. But that being said, that doesn't mean you shouldn't speak it. That just means that maybe you should be a little bit more delicate when you speak it. You know, constructive criticism instead of, you know, critiquing, which that is what criticism is, but you don't have to do it in a hateful way. You know what I mean? You can be kind and understanding and still offer some criticism. You know, we all need it from time to time. Some criticisms that, you know, maybe we already know, but we don't really want to accept it ourselves. And it, you know, it hits different when you hear it from somebody else versus when you're telling yourself. But nonetheless, you know, yes, sometimes the truth can hurt, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be spoken. All right, now we're pulling from the Namaste deck. You know, be understanding, be sympathetic to people when you're in a situation like that where, you know, in order to be authentically you, something needs to be said. And maybe it can be a lesson for both parties, you know. You learn how to be a little bit more sympathetic, and the other party learns whatever truth it is that they needed to learn. Write a love letter is what we got from the Namaste deck. No goal on the bottom of the deck. We've never seen that before. Find your center of power on the top of the deck. We don't normally pull 3 from these, but the first one was pretty short. Normally it fills up the whole card, so we'll go ahead and do it. To yourself, just like you would do it if you were writing a love note to your sweetheart. Be generous with your compliments. See yourself the way your crush would see you. Wow. When we invite love into our lives, there's no room for fear. That's twice that no fear has come out already. Writing a letter of love to yourself will help push away any fears or doubts that may be haunting you. For some of us, that's pretty difficult. I wish you could see them. I'm sorry. I'm going to get better at taking pictures of the cards and posting them. But, you know, for some of us, that can be difficult because we don't look at ourselves that way. Like, I know I don't. I don't look at myself in a loving way, which is, that's part of my healing journey. But practicing that might help do that. Maybe that's something we can do together on a live one day or something. All right, and then we have no goal. 15:22 when I looked at the timer. Sometimes our goals can keep us from being in the moment. What was I talking about already about the intentional breath? Goals can overshadow the experience we are having while we pursue our wants. Sometimes to be successful, we just have to focus on what needs to be done rather than focusing on the end game. When we focus on the process, we give more effort to what we are doing. This can be the leverage you need to reach your goals. So being in the moment. Yes, having goals, having a plan, grand rising. I hope everybody's having a positive, productive, peaceful start to your day today. It's always important to have a goal, but if we're constantly focused on that goal, we're missing the experience of life. Yes, it's important to have a goal, but yes, it's important to be aware of whether we're in that moment or not and actually experiencing life. We are spiritual beings here having a human experience. There's a reason why we're here, experiences we wanted to have, lessons that we wanted to learn, ways that we wanted to grow. And then we got find your center of power. Your power may be in your legs. Some people hold their power in their shoulders or chest. Perhaps your power is in your core. Look for it. Feel for it. Once you find it, reside in that place with your mind. Let your power grow as big as it wants and spread all over your body. Stay there for 8 minutes. Once you find your power, you know where to look the next time you need it. Your power will also help you understand how to set up healthy boundaries to help protect yourself. Very much, reclaim your power, reclaim your inner power. The way I'm looking at that, instead of physical strength, more of like spiritual, emotional strength. Where are you strong and where are you weak? What are areas that you can like truly just embrace and you're good? And then what are some areas where maybe you need to spend a little bit more time trying to understand what needs to be done in those specific areas of your life, whether that's how you cope with your emotions, how you work with a team. The options are unlimited when it comes to that. So let's get an affirmation from the Affirmators deck. All the self-help without the self-helpiness. So authentic communication, not only with others, but most especially with yourself. Write yourself a love letter. Don't be so focused on your goals that you miss out on the moments that are happening now. And then find your center of power. Reclaim your power. Acknowledge your strengths and your weaknesses. Sometimes people come into our lives to help us. Thank you very much. Grand Rising. I hope you're having a peaceful, positive, and productive morning so far. Sometimes people come into our lives because they have strength where we are weak, and we have strength where they are weak. So when you're able and willing to open yourself up to connect with people like that, you can share your strength with them as they share their strength with you. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right. An affirmation from the Affirmators deck. I do have to keep track of what time it is. We got 3. Clarity, confidence, and communication. Double confirmation on the communication. We got that with our chakra affirmation this morning. So authentic, honest communication, not only with others, but most especially with yourself. You know, we have a lot of times, especially if we're strong and stubborn. I have school. Oh, I hope you have a great day at school today. When we're communicating with others, we have a tendency to kind of sugarcoat things. You know, for whatever reason, it's different for everybody, but sometimes it's that one conversation that can change your perspective, can change their perspective. Communication. Wonder how that other person's feeling. Ask them. Wish they knew how you were feeling. Tell them. You've just been drafted into the communication army, where there is a strict do ask, do tell policy. Speak with kindness and gentleness and reach an understanding. If you don't, assumption will make asses out of everyone, including the person who came up with that aphorism. You know, what does assuming do? It makes an ass out of you and me. Yeah. So there, I mean, I can't add any more to that. Clarity. Communication offers clarity. Have the confidence to speak openly and honestly, you know, whether it's setting boundaries, whether it's just expressing how you feel. Stopping to listen to my inner self, I can easily separate my intuition from my mental chatter. The clarity of my intuition is a sweet, simple fruit that tastes familiar. And the mental chatter is a confusing, bitter rind that I shall peel off and chunk into the garbage, or compost heap if your mental chatter happens to be organic. So blocking out the outside noise, you know, being aware of the conversations that you are a part of, being aware of how you talk to yourself, how you talk to other people, learning how to listen to your intuition. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. All right, and then we got confidence. In this moment, I take a step back and look at myself with the pride of a good mother. I see an abundance of abilities and talents that show up all the time in big and little ways. What was I talking about? If I could stick myself in a refrigerator, I would. I would invite all the neighbors over and say, look at that. Can you believe what an A+ that is? So, you know, what are you good at? What are you bad at? Having the confidence to look at yourself and see what your abilities are. What are your talents? What are some things that, you know, maybe you're not very good at that you want to become good at? That may be communication. You know, that may be something that you struggle with. Thankfully for me, I don't really have that problem. My problem comes in as far as the type of communication, right? Like, I don't have an issue communicating, but I have to be very aware of my tone, of my energy when I'm communicating with other people, because I have a tendency to come off aggressive, I guess, you know, kind of intimidating. I was looking to, hold on, let me get a hanky real quick. Okay. You know, and that'll be different for everybody. You know, like some people are very, timid and standoffish and they're not really comfortable with that type of communication. And so it's different for everybody. But nonetheless, working on communication skills in general. Let's see what time it is. It is 5:31. All right, we're getting into the Angel of Abundance deck. Me, myself, and I. It doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. No. Learn how to enjoy your time alone. Grand Rising, happy Tuesday. I pray everybody's having a positive, productive start to your day today. If not, I pray that your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, and of course the Most High help you with that today. We're getting back in the swing of things. All right, Angels of Abundance. All right, so proper communication, whether that's self-communication, self-talk, or talking to other people, having the confidence to bring clarity to certain situations with proper communication. Going back to the affirmations for the from the Wild Offering Oracle, being enough, positivity, and relationship. All right, we got release resentments about money. It's not all about money. True wealth is not measured by money. All right, we got unlimited ideas on the bottom of the deck. Positivity, faith, and optimism on the top of the deck. So there we go. That goes back to what we were talking about. Faith over fear. Remaining positive even on those days where it's not easy to be positive, right? Just yesterday on the John Tesh radio show, he was talking about, you have pessimistic people and you have optimistic people, and optimistic people tend to think, I think he said they tend to live 36% longer lives than pessimistic people. All right, release resentments about money. Yes, the money system of the world can seem upsetting, but holding resentments about finances just pushes abundance away. Instead, see money as a tool you can use to better the world, and this shift will help you attract, support, golden opportunities. This shift will help you attract, support, and golden opportunities. When you really, for me, I really kind of grew up with an unhealthy attachment to money because that was my mom's love language, was buying gifts, because there was a lot of times she couldn't be around because she was working and going to school, a single mother taking care of 2 kids, so her love language was buying gifts to make up for not being there. And that was fortunately something for me that I broke free of at a very young age. But when you kind of focus on living a minimalistic lifestyle to where you realize that and accept and understand that we don't need all these things that society tells us that we need, and you really start to minimize and just be aware of all your stuff. Like for me, a real wake-up call was like, when you die, somebody has to come box up your place. How much crap do you want to leave behind to let you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just an example. But you start to realize that it's not the money that brings the happiness. It's not the money that brings the true wealth. All right. Unlimited ideas. Your mind is one with God's infinite mind. Therefore, you have complete access to unlimited ideas, guaranteed to bring blessings. All you need to do is take divinely guided action to allow these ideas to come to fruition. So that could even go back to the communicating your ideas, either with other people or just like more elaborately with yourself. All right, and then positivity, faith, and optimism. Faith over fear. The mantra, today I'm going to fall in love with all the little taken for granteds that make this world so wild and dynamic. All right, you open the doorway to positive experiences and opportunities with your positive expectations and energy. Do not allow negative energy or temporary setbacks to interfere with the path that you are on. Keep the faith and keep going. Keep looking ahead. Stay in the moment. Don't fall back to the past. Don't project yourself into the future. Living in the moment. All right. Now we're going to get some angel numbers. Also, going back to the no goal. Sometimes our goals can keep us from being in the moment. Once you make a plan, set a goal, get on a path, start your journey, however you want to say it. Once you do that, try to be more intentional about being in the moment instead of always focusing on, what you're supposed to do next. Don't worry so much about supposed to, basically. A lot of times when we do things because we feel obligated to do them, we don't get true enjoyment out of it, because we're just doing it because we feel obligated, not because we want to. That's where it's important to have boundaries, for sure. For sure, for sure. All right. Angel numbers. 1818, meant for success. Number 8, abundance, on the bottom of the deck. And number 7, soul purpose, on the top of the deck. Go and love yourself. Is this Bieber? I think this is Bieber. Hi, Jay. All right. Meant for success. 1818. Success, purpose, change, prosperity, life path, and transformation. A major change is coming. And while it may feel disruptive, it's guiding you towards success. What were we talking about this morning? Embrace the shift, as it will lead you to your purpose and financial prosperity. Soon, the reasons for this change will become clear, revealing your true path. What changes are you facing? How can you embrace them to align with success? Prepare yourself for upcoming changes by setting clear goals and staying focused on your purpose. Embrace the shifts as opportunities for growth and success, and be open to discovering new paths. So, have your goals, but be willing to venture onto new paths, knowing that it will all come back to where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? All right, and then we got 8, abundance. Prosperity, opportunity, financial stability, emotional well-being, and transformation. If you're struggling financially or emotionally due to changes in your life or relationships, your angels want you to know that these difficulties are temporary and also an opportunity for growth. What were we talking about? 3444 on the timer when I looked. Anytime you're going through a trial or tribulation of some kind, there's always an opportunity to learn and to grow. But it takes being able to look at the situation from a non-emotional perspective. Until you heal to the point to where you can do that, you're not going to be able to see the other perspective because it hurts in whatever way, right? How can I embrace the changes in my life as opportunities to create, to cultivate greater abundance? Today, focus on one positive step you can take to improve your financial or emotional well being, trusting that abundance is on its way. So, going back to what we were talking about before, the things that we're good at, the things that we're not so good at. You know, when we're focused on a goal, we're like Thomas the train, you know, chicka 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 chicka, and we just keep going. But sometimes it's important to take a break, take a breath, just breathe. Embrace how far you've come, embrace the progress that's been made, be able to, you know, maybe you had certain things that you were working on, you know, inside of you, and you accomplished those things. You got it, you know, you got it fixed, you got it figured out, whatever. Um, you know, but now it's time to start working on some new things. You're that in between. I call it limbo. That in between, you know, where you've had success, you've accomplished some goals, but now it's time to regroup, set new goals, and determine what things you actually need to work on to be able to accomplish those goals. All right, then we got 7, soul purpose, life path, divine guidance, success, alignment, mission, and fulfillment. Your angels are pleased with your life choices and are letting you know that you're on the right path. Keep up the good work as you are successfully fulfilling your soul purpose and life mission. How can I continue to align my daily actions with my soul purpose and life mission? Today, acknowledge the progress that you've made and take a moment to reaffirm your commitment to your soul's true calling. What did I just say? I literally just said that. It's important to take that time to do that, you know, because if not, we get discouraged, we get tired, we, you know, we start to lose that, what do they call it? Lackluster. Yeah, we start to lack luster because we get tired. And, you know, sometimes when we get tired, that's when we go into, that's where we have a tendency to fall into the fear instead of walking in the faith. You know, have faith in what you're doing, in the direction that you're going, no matter how long it's taking you to get there. You know, have faith in your purpose. And if you're not sure what your purpose is, because I feel like a lot of us going, you know, this is the soul purpose card. I think a lot of us have moments in day-to-day life, maybe not often, but we do have them, where we question our life purpose. We question whether we're going the right way, maybe because, you know, things aren't going the way we thought they were going to, or they're not going the way we think they should. But usually when things like that happen to where that make us start feeling that way, those are little nudges, you know, to wake us up to either changes that need to be made, or, you know, maybe we need to, you know, redirect a little bit, you know. It's never a bad thing to take time to sit down and evaluate your life, your finances, your emotions, whatever it is, you know, taking that time to really evaluate where you're at. Okay, what are we going to do now? We're going to do the nature seasons. 546. remembering that abundance comes in all shapes and sizes. Abundance isn't necessarily talking about money. It was 40:04 on the timer when I looked. 4 and 4 equals 8. 8 is a powerful number out here today. We got 18, 18, and 8. If you break 18 down, that 8 and 8 is 16, plus 2 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. So 7, 8, 9. Wow, that's even how I have it laid out here. 7, 8, and then if you break this down, it breaks down to a 9. So 7, 8, 9. Getting things in order. Going back to what I said earlier about, you know, what you're going to leave behind when you go. You know, don't leave a mess behind. Don't leave a mess for somebody else to clean up, I guess, is the best way to say that. You know, whether that's in life, in death, in work, in play, don't leave a mess for somebody else to clean up. Oh, and another message that I got yesterday, it came to me from another source. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. That really hit me strong yesterday, or it might have been day before yesterday. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right, spirituality and revelation. Aurora. Ooh, that makes me think of Sleeping Beauty. That was her name in Sleeping Beauty, was Aurora. Faith and expectation, hope on the bottom of the deck. We've already talked about that several times this morning. And then unconditional care, love on the top of the deck. This is the first time we're seeing any of these cards. This is still one of the new decks. All right, so Aurora, spirituality and revelation. I love that name, Aurora. 4222 when I looked on the timer. Yeah, that was her name in Sleeping Beauty. The Aurora symbolizes spirituality and revelation. Today, you may experience profound insights or spiritual revelations. Open your heart and receive guidance from the universe, delving deeper into your inner wisdom. So, signs, synchronicities, different experiences, different knowledge. You know, being open to receive. We were talking about it earlier. We were talking about criticism when we were talking about communication, but also just sharing of knowledge. Be open to that. Don't be one of those people. Don't be a know-it-all. And don't be one of those people that's like eye rolling and shit when you're talking to somebody. Like if you don't want to interact with people, then just don't. But it's good for your soul to interact with the outside world. Small doses maybe, but it's still good for you. All right, faith and expectation, hope. Hope is the lighthouse guiding your way forward. Today, hold on to your faith in the future. We've already talked about faith several times today. Walking in faith and not in fear. You can't do both. Don't fall into the pit of fear. That's like jumping into a barrel of monkeys. You know, I know it's hard. No matter what challenges you face, keep hope in your heart. Hope allows you to see the light in the darkest of times, encouraging you to move forward. And that makes me think of the scene from Harry Potter, which I think of that scene a lot, actually, with Dumbledore, where he's telling Harry, you know, anytime you're lost in the dark, all you got to do is turn on a light. We are the light. We are here to be the light for others. Others are here to shine the light for us. Communicating, sharing information, encouraging others. Walking with positivity, faith, and optimism. Being that person that makes somebody smile, being that person that speaks a truth that somebody may not want to hear, right? All right, then unconditional care, love. Love is the gift of unconditional care. Feel the deep connection between yourself and others. Give and receive without expectations. Let love flow, whether it's loving yourself or others. Release conditions and embrace pure care. Loving yourself unconditionally, sharing that unconditional love with anybody that you come in contact with. Just simply smiling at somebody can change their day. You know, and if you've ever been on the receiving end of that, you know that's true. And if you've never been on the receiving end of it, do it anyways. And experience what it feels like to, you know, carry love around and just share it with everybody. Doesn't have to be big, extraordinary, you know, life-changing experiences, but the most simple experiences can be life-changing. All right. Animal allies. $46.48 on the timer when I looked. Unlimited ideas. Don't be afraid to share your ideas. Have the confidence to communicate with clarity the ideas that you have. Egret. E-G-R-E-T. That's a funny looking bird. We got swan on the bottom of the deck and vulture on the top of the deck. I don't think we've ever seen this one before. Notice the purple in the background. And there's certain cards out here that are doused in purple. A lot of purple out here. Communication. Unlimited ideas. Unconditional care. Communicate your ideas. Do it with love. Don't do it in I know better than you kind of way. Be aware of the word, like think about the words that you're going to say before you say them. Use your filter. All right. Use your filter. Okay. Noted. Superpowers. Harmony, teamwork, respect for yourself and others, dissipation of anger, new beginnings, and prosperity. Kill them with kindness. Wisdom. When life feels chaotic and out of control, seeking out beauty in your external environments brings calm to your internal world. Who is this? Whitney Houston? How will I know if he really loves me? When this card appears, a pause is needed. Where can you find some softness in your personal world? Do you need to refresh your nest or fluff up your sacred spaces? What? Shut up. Okay, we already talked about having a pause. You know, taking the time to appreciate the things that you've accomplished and preparing yourself for the next part of the journey, right? We already talked about that. But even further back in the video, I talked about Was that this video? Anyways, where I talked about I got new bed sheets. I got the dogs new beds. I got me new bed sheets. Just freshening up your energy. All right. This card wants you to know there are opportunities for grace and growth all around you currently. You can go easy and trust everything takes as long as it needs to take. Find some comfort in waiting. Okay, so relax. We talked about it earlier. I talked about being in limbo, being in that transition period. Like, making good use of that time. Realizing how much abundance you already have. Seeing it in your mind's eye where you want to go. But also being in the moment. Like knowing what goals you have. Like you've set goals. You know what you want to accomplish. You know what direction you're headed. And even though right now you may be at the bottom of the ladder, you know where you're going and you're making baby steps to get there. You know, remembering that the power that you have over your own life. Properly communicating not only with people outside of you, but with yourself. Being honest with yourself about, you know, we did talk about it in the beginning about, you know, things that you may need to work on. You know, maybe you were working on this one thing as far as emotionally, spiritually, you know, on the healing level, and you've kind of overcome that. And so now it's time to tackle something different. Being honest with yourself about what that is. You know, any kind of self-deception that might still exist, you know, where you've dealt with it for so long, or it's been buried so deep for so long that it feels normal. You know that saying where, you know, somebody can get used to anything, somebody can get comfortable in any kind of environment if they're in it for long enough, because to them it's just normal. They don't know any different. And sometimes, most of the time, when that's the case, we're oblivious to the fact that it's not normal. You know, because we've lived it for so long. And a lot of times that's why it's so hard to heal those certain areas, is because it's buried so deep that we don't even realize that it's buried. All right, anyways, celestial insights. You know, a lot of us don't like to, most of us don't like to go that deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally making my head hurt just thinking about it. A lot of us don't like to go that deep. And, like, in my case, a lot of stuff I don't remember. It's like, I don't know why I don't remember. You know, I have a couple different speculations, but nonetheless, you know, that may be an issue for a lot of people, not being able to remember. Like, I don't remember my childhood. Like, I remember certain moments of it, but in reality, most of the moments that I remember are moments that I have pictures of. So, like, I see the picture in my head when I remember that moment. It was 54:54 on the timer when I looked. And I'm not sure why that is. You know, I have some speculations, but I'm not 100% sure why. We won't keep these, but we'll acknowledge them. Spirit, time, commitment, value, indication. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, give spirit time. Maintain the commitment. Assigning value to people, places, things, investments. The power of your spirit is always there, quietly supporting you. If you feel lost, take time to listen to your inner voice. Through meditation or simple outdoor activities, you can reconnect with your inner strength. I don't remember which card we got it in, but in one of the cards it talked about that. Spending time in nature, reconnecting, grounding. All right, time is your greatest ally for growth and healing. Have you been rushing through life? Trust in the timing of things. Patience will bring the results you seek. So, what have we been talking about? Being in that state of limbo. What are you going to do with that time? Making the most of the time that you have. Commitment. Commitment is the key to long-term success. Are you hesitating to make a decision? Commit fully to a path and you'll see the results of your dedication. So, setting the new goals. We've accomplished the old goals. We need to set new goals. We need to be honest with ourselves about what those goals need to be. We are enough. Remain positive about the choices that have been made. Keep going forward in faith. Don't get trapped in the fear. Fear of the unknown is natural. We all deal with that. Fear of the unknown, fear of what's to come. When we realize that there's only so much control we have over a situation, that's typically when the fear sets in. But stepping out of the fear in faith, looking back and seeing how far your faith has brought you already. The goals that have been accomplished and setting a new track for new goals, new levels, and being honest with ourselves about what needs to be done to make that possible. All right, and then value indication. Your inner value is greater than you realize. Perhaps you've been questioning your worth lately. Focus on affirming unique qualities daily, and you'll become more confident in your value. We did get confidence with the affirmations. Remember about posting it on the refrigerator? Have confidence in yourself. Have confidence in your abilities. Have confidence in the goals that you've set. Knowing your worth, knowing your value, reclaiming your power. We talked about that already. Find your center of power with the Namaste deck. Let's see what time it is. 6:05. And it was 59:10 on the timer. Healing on the bottom of the deck with the Celestial Insights. Barrier Maze on the top of the deck. Maybe I'm crazy. Okay, anyways. All right. Now we'll pull from the Mystical Dream deck. This is the one that helps us learn how to understand and analyze our dreams. Do it anyways. Even if people think you're crazy for doing it. Go in the Unlimited Ideas from the Angels of Abundance deck. Your mind is one with God's infinite mind. Therefore, you have complete access to unlimited ideas guaranteed to bring blessings. All you need to do is take divinely guided action to allow these ideas to come to fruition. Even if people think you're crazy for doing it, do it anyways. I mean, you know, within a moral compass type stuff. But, you know, if it's a business idea, if, you know, maybe making a big move, starting your own business, starting a big relationship, you know, whatever it is, listen to your intuition. Stay positive, be optimistic, have faith, but listen to your gut. All right. Spirituality and revelation. You know, the stronger you become spiritually, the stronger your intuition will become. You know, the more in touch you become with your own energy, the more attention that you give your soul, your spirit, the stronger that becomes. Like, think of the analogy of like a lie detector. You know, those people have to learn and practice how to give a lie detector test, right? Well, your body has an internal lie detector. And the more you use it, the more you listen to it, the more you pay attention to it, the better you get at reading it. Loneliness, that came up in a song earlier. Dogs and anger. Loneliness fell on the floor. Dogs was actually in reverse. Loneliness represents a deep connection with your inner self and an opportunity for growth. Dreaming of loneliness invites you to understand your true needs and desires. It reflects emotional isolation, encouraging you to face unresolved feelings and embrace your inner strength, preparing for future growth and connections. Dogs. Dogs symbolize loyalty, friendship, and unconditional love. We got unconditional care out here already. Dreaming of a dog reflects your desire for loyal relationships and sincere connections. It may also indicate the support of reliable friends or partners. The dream encourages honesty, trust, and showing loyalty to others, reminding you that love and support are always around, even in challenging times. And then anger. Anger represents repressed emotions or unmet needs. When anger appears in your dream, it's an expression of dissatisfaction with certain aspects of your life. It serves as a warning to learn how to express your emotions in a healthy way. Anger often hides deep desires or disappointments. And it's these feelings that motivate you to take action and break through obstacles. So, going back to the honest communication, whether that be with yourself or other people, expressing your emotions honestly, but in a healthy way. But also with that, being honest with yourself about said person? Is that going to be possible? Because some people are not good communicators, and it may not be possible to have a respectful, constructive, beneficial conversation. So in that case, it's better to just leave it alone instead of stirring the pot. You know what I mean? That's an important part of listening to your intuition, is knowing, like, when's it time to go? You know what I mean? Like, do I stay or do I go type energy. Not hanging on for too long. All right, this is the Echoes of the Soul Oracle deck. This is one of the new ones as well. This is the one that, it's a 2-part deck. 106.11 on the timer when I looked. So being alone doesn't necessarily equal loneliness. You can be in a room full of people and still feel alone in the world. You know what I mean? All right. Soaring Perspective, number 29. It's got an eagle. I don't know if that's an eagle. Maybe not. A bird of some kind. The Veiled Watcher on the bottom of the deck, number 13. Clouded Reverie. Reverie. Clouded Reverie. I think we've seen that before. Like Clouded Judgment. Echoes of Solitude on the bottom of the deck after that. Okay, so 13, is that 13 or, yeah. 13, 24, and 29. The Veiled Watcher. Key themes: secrecy, vigilance, hidden motives, intuition, discernment, and protection. Message: not all truths are revealed on the surface, and not all motives are as they appear. The Veiled Watcher stands as a reminder to observe the subtle and the hidden. Trust your instincts and look beyond the obvious. In the quiet moments of reflection, the unseen can reveal itself more clearly than words or actions. Protect your energy, remain vigilant, and allow your intuition to guide you toward the truth. Guidance. When this card appears, it signals the need to proceed with care and heightened awareness. There may be elements of a situation or relationship that are not entirely transparent. Instead of acting hastily or jumping to conclusions, remember it talked about assumptions and assuming earlier. Step into the role of the observer. Let time and subtle observations guide you to clarity. The Veiled Watcher also reminds you to trust your gut feelings. Your intuition often senses truths before your mind fully comprehends them. Protect your energy and set boundaries as needed, but don't let fear cloud your ability to uncover the truth. Wow, dude. We talked about all this already. Affirmation: I trust my intuition to guide me through the unseen. I remain vigilant, grounded, and protected as I uncover the truth. Actionable insight: Spend time observing rather than reacting in a situation where you feel uncertainty. Pay attention to patterns, inconsistencies, or unspoken dynamics. Journal your observations and reflect on how they align with your intuition. Consider setting boundaries or seeking advice if needed, but always act from a place of calm and self assurance. Going back to the confidence and the communication and the clarity from the affirmators deck. Reflection. The veiled watcher reminds you that life is layered with complexities, and not all truths reveal themselves immediately. By remaining vigilant and trusting your instincts, you gain the ability to discern the genuine from the deceptive. This card is not a warning of danger, but an encouragement to sharpen your perception and honor your inner wisdom. What truths are waiting to be uncovered in your life? How can you align your vigilance with trust in your own instincts? What was I talking about in the beginning about being able to be honest with yourself? Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather. All right, then we got 24, Clouded Reverie. 1:11:44 on the timer when I looked. It's 6:18 real time. All right, key themes: overwhelm, mental fog, clarity through surrender, letting go, trust in the process. Message: when your mind feels like a storm of scattered thoughts, remember that clarity cannot be forced. Like clouds drifting across the sky, your thoughts will settle when you allow them the space to disperse. Surrender is not a sign of giving up, but an act of trust. Trust that the answers you seek will emerge when the haze clears. Release the need for control and let the natural flow of your mind guide you toward peace and understanding. This card appears when your mind is burdened by overthinking, indecision, or a sense of mental chaos. Clouded Reverie reminds you that trying to force clarity often leads to more confusion. Instead, it asks you to practice surrender and patience by stepping back, breathing deeply, and allowing space for your thoughts to settle. You create the conditions for clarity to naturally emerge. Trust in the process and remember that even storms pass in time, revealing a brighter sky. The affirmation: I release the need for control and allow my thoughts to settle. Clarity flows to me when I trust the process. Actionable insight: dedicate a few minutes today to practice a mindful release. Sit quietly, take deep breaths, and picture each thought or worry as a cloud drifting across the sky. Visualize yourself gently letting go of each one, trusting that clarity will come when the time is right. Follow this practice with journaling, noting any insights or feelings of lightness that arise. Reflection: Clouded Reverie reminds you that surrender is a powerful act of self care. By stepping back and letting go of the need to fix or force, you open yourself to clarity and understanding that can only emerge from stillness. Trust in the wisdom of the process, knowing that even the densest clouds will eventually clear. What clouds in your mind are ready to drift away? How will you embrace surrender to find clarity today? We got the clarity card in the affirmators deck, talking about the rind and the peel and throwing it out. You know, what what are some things that we can focus on letting go of? Going back to the goals, part of the growth process is, I guess the best way to say it is turning over a new leaf. You know, turning things around, the flip side. All right, and then we got 29, soaring perspective. We already talked about the different perspectives this morning. Key themes: freedom, clarity, vision, higher awareness, detachment, and understanding. Message: lift yourself above the chaos and distractions that cloud your path. From this soaring perspective, the noise fades and the bigger picture becomes clear. When you rise above, you gain the freedom to see connections, opportunities, and solutions that were once hidden. The answers you seek are within your grasp, but first, you must release what holds you down. Trust your ability to navigate the skies of possibility and let your vision guide you toward clarity and purpose. Guidance. This card invites you to step back and observe your situation from a higher vantage point. Soaring perspective reminds you that clarity often comes from detachment. Dude, these cards are basically clarifying each other. The clouded reverie and the soaring perspective. Soaring perspective reminds you that clarity often comes from detachment, letting go of the small details and distractions that create confusion. By rising above, you can see patterns, truths, and opportunities with renewed focus. This card also signals a time to align with your inner wisdom and trust in your ability to navigate life with freedom and intention. Affirmation: I rise above the chaos to gain clarity and freedom. From this higher perspective, my path is clear and my vision is strong. Actionable insights: identify one area of your life where you feel stuck or overwhelmed. Take a step back and look at the situation from a broader perspective. Write down what patterns or insights emerge when you detach from the details and focus on the bigger picture. Then act on one clear step forward that aligns with your newfound understanding. Reflection. Soaring perspective reminds you that freedom and clarity are within reach when you allow yourself to rise above the noise and distractions. By embracing a broader view, you unlock the ability to navigate life's challenges with confidence and vision. What do you see from your soaring perspective? How will this clarity guide your next steps? So, really taking the time to sit down and analyze, being honest with yourself. I totally just, there we go. This too shall pass kind of attitude. Let's see how we're doing on time. We may need to skip around a little bit. Let's do a Wandering Heart Oracle. It's 6:25 real time. I got about maybe 10 or 15 more minutes. I'll try to get these last well, I'm still not going to be able to go through all of them, but we'll try to maybe just do one of each instead of three of each like we normally do. All right, this is the Wandering Heart Oracle. All right, so assigning value, what's worth your commitment, what's worth your time, what's important to you, releasing anger, valuing the loyalty and the friendships that you have, whether that's with, fur babies or, real people, having unconditional care for yourself and for others, faith and expectations. Have faith. Instead of expectations, have faith. Have faith that your needs will be met. Shelter, as I say that. All right. I think that's the first time we've seen that card. Shelter, number 25. A place of no suffering, precaution, and privacy. You hold access to mountains of ancestors who stream fortune directly into your being, making sure you are impenetrable and full. The hardships they faced were not meant to be passed down or adopted. In fact, their wishes for solace led you here. They refuse to rest until you find refuge. Refuge. Stress is played out. The abuse in every form is unacceptable. Now is the time to tackle unfinished business so you can come back home to yourself. Refrain from condoning absurdity. Detach from your experiences. Do not empower them to hang over your head. Do not rush or act too suddenly. Calculate every move and figure out what's worth your energy and what isn't. Nurture what matters the most to you. What did I just say? Value indication. Assign value. What's important, what's not important. What's worth your time and energy and love and care, and what's not. You've decided to journey backward. You miss the untroubled version of yourself. You shut people out for a while. Knowing there is work to be done, you worry that others have an overwhelming effect on you. Too many opinions, too much judgment and influence. Time to make up your own mind. Who are you when it's just you? That Blake Shelton song, Who Are You When I'm Not Looking? That came up yesterday for me. I didn't mean to set that in there like that. I mentioned earlier that I pulled a few cards yesterday morning and then ended up canceling it out. 122.22 on the timer when I looked. Who are you when I'm not looking? Going back to what I said earlier about just because you can doesn't mean you should. You know what I mean? So we all need to hear that sometimes, I think. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That'll mean something different for everybody, but still just as valuable. All right, now we're pulling from the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. $94 for the high today. Ugh. One more shuffle. All right. Just one, please. Confusion. Didn't that card that we just read talk about confusion? Silver cloud. Every silver lining has a cloud. A lot about clouds. A clouded mind, clouded judgment, clouded thinking. Maybe pay attention to the clouds. Okay. We're not going to read the whole thing. Inspiration. Through the willingness to be in confusion, we find clarity. There is nothing to solve. Meditation and quiet time will bring clarity. A lot about clarity today. But they don't know the truth. Who is this? Alicia Keys? No, I don't think so. Anyways, personal inquiry. Can I see confusion as a good thing? Can I learn to let go of needing an immediate outcome? We talked about that earlier, about accepting that how little control we have over a situation. clarity, support, and revelation. So clarity is coming. We got a lot of clarity energy out here. Clarity is coming. Change is coming. We had a lot about change, a lot about communication, which is going to bring clarity. Whether that be communication from the spirit realm, whether that's communication with people, or honest communication with self. Trying to pull me away, they don't know the truth. It's crippled by the vein that keep on closing. You cut me open and I keep bleeding, keep. Hurt people hurt people. If you don't heal your hurt, you're going to bleed on other people. If you don't heal from past heartbreak, that will affect every relationship you ever have. That's why so many relationships fail, is because people don't take the time to heal before they jump into another one. My heart's crippled by the vein that I keep closing. Yeah. If you don't heal, it does cripple your heart. Because even though you want to love, you're scared to love. A lot of us deal with that. All right. Let's see. We'll do Archangel Fire Oracle. Chamiel on the bottom of the deck as we're getting started. Pretty in Pink. That's a good movie. Her dress was pink. Also going back to the Aurora Sleeping Beauty energy. All right. Raphael is what flipped over, but Camiel, Rigfiel, Tahariel, Fuel, Azriel, Akatriel, and Chamiel came back out. We'll look at hers because she came back out. Pink and green. She's pretty in pink. He's handsome in hunter green. She's number 9, love and relationships. We did get relationship in the Wandering Heart Oracle. Her message, open your heart and let yourself be cherished. Always remember that you are loved, for you are made of love. That's basically the same thing that the affirmation says. Love and relationships, number 9. And then we did get number 9 in the angel numbers. And then Raphael is number 17, which breaks down to an 8, which we also got in the angel numbers. Raphael, healing. His message, I have heard your prayers for healing. Allow yourself time out to rest and integrate. Trust that I am helping you to heal and restoring your energy and equilibrium. So taking the time to rest, taking the time to heal, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever way. All right. Mary, I think we're good for Mary Magdalene. I'm not going to do the animal spirit and the herbal astrology today. It's 6:36 real time. We'll pull from the Mary Magdalene Oracle and then we'll stop. I may come back later and just do a quick one with the animal spirit, the herbal astrology, and the stones. I think those are the only ones we haven't done. I hope everybody has a peaceful, positive, productive day today. Mary, Mary, full of grace, what advice can you give us today? The third power, humility is my greatest strength. We talked about that at the very beginning of the video this morning. Being willing to learn. Don't be that type. Oh, thank you. Hi. Don't be that type of person that isn't willing to learn new things, new ways. Like, just because you open yourself up to learn about it doesn't mean you have to commit to it. You know what I mean? Like, just learn. Doesn't mean you have to change your entire life. All right, the third power. Humility is my greatest strength. Card number 6. Ignorance is our ultimate blind spot. It's the insular thought that we exist somehow as the lead role in a movie the ego is directing. Ignorance is a profound lack of vision. It's an inability to actually see ourselves and the impact of our actions. There's a powerful exchange between desire and the soul in Mary's gospel. Desire in this dialogue is what the ego craves. It isn't the desire of the soul, it's the unconscious needs of the ego. So this egoic desire says to the soul in Mary 9 verse 2, I did not see you go down, yet now I see you go up. So why do you lie since you belong to me? And the soul responds, I saw you. You did not see me, nor did you know me. You mistook the garment I wore for my true self, and you did not recognize me. The ego thinks it is the true self, but the ego is actually only the garments or the layers of the identity that the ego acquires. What's true is the soul beneath all those egoic desires. What's true is what remains constant even as our egoic desires shift from one need to the next. The way to dismantle ignorance is to see through the constantly shifting desires of the ego. It's to see that the egoic desires are like clouds in the sky. Dang, again, clouds. And the soul is the sky itself. Let's read that again. The way to dismantle ignorance is to see through the constantly shifting desires of the ego. It is to see that the egoic desires are like clouds in the sky, and the soul is the sky itself. What was it talking about? About letting the clouds, like acknowledging them, but letting them go by, letting them dissipate. We can try to see ignorance for what it is. It's not lasting. It's not permanent. It has the potential to be fleeting. If we have the humility to ask what is beneath this egoic desire, going back to what I talked about earlier about, digging deep and healing from that stuff that's been buried for so long. Humility is our greatest strength. If we can let the garments of the ego fall, we can see ourselves more fully and recognize what's lasting. And if we have the strength to be humble enough to understand that our ignorance is only human, then we get to experience the way that our forgiveness is also divine. The soul voice meditation. What am I ready to see that's deeper than this egoic desire? Wow. Going back to what I talked about earlier about being honest with yourself about where the emotions come from, what steps need to be taken to figure that out or to work on healing those things. That is like so a confirmation in itself. If you go back and watch the more to the beginning of the video, that really sums up what we talked about in a nutshell. But clouds, the major significance of clouds today. Let the negative thoughts be like passing clouds. Try to clear your mind. Even the grief affirmation talked about perspective, getting clarity and the perspective that you're looking at things. This too shall pass. Look, even in the confusion card, look at all those clouds. 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 And many other cards mentioned clouds. Be still. Have faith. Communicate clearly, honestly, respectfully. Enjoy the transition. That there's a lot of change here, a lot of communication here, a lot of clarity is going to come from the communication. Whether that's communication with yourself, communication with a coworker, communication with spirit, whatever. Being able to honestly and authentically communicate. Going to be very important. I mean, it's always very important, but having the confidence to communicate either with others or with yourself. Sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves. Have good self-talk. Write yourself a love letter. Going back to the namaste card. Write yourself a love letter. Love on yourself a little bit extra. Find your center of power. Embrace your power. Find your inner strength. Give yourself a confidence boost if you need it. Positivity, faith, and optimism. With your unlimited ideas. If you have an idea, don't be scared to share that idea. Have the confidence in yourself to communicate your ideas clearly and authentically. It's okay to assign value. Your inner value, but also assigning value to people, places, things, commitments, goals in your life. Yes, they do have value. Some are more important than others. Some are more valuable than others. People, places, situations, goals, Let go of anger. Remember that loneliness doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And loneliness doesn't always necessarily indicate that you're alone. You could be in a room full of people and still feel alone. That's a big red flag. If that's the case, then you don't need to be in that room. I know it sucks to hear, but it's true. Dogs, loyalty, connections, release anger. Going back to what we were talking about when that song came on, the unconditional care and the anger. Don't bleed on everybody else. You know, if you're dealing with a heartbreak or whatever, look at it however you want, but if you're healing from something and, you're figuratively, spiritually bleeding, a lot of people don't take the time to heal from that before they jump into another relationship or another situationship, whatever. And it's going to end up being the same story over and over again, just with different characters. You know what I mean? It Because people don't take the time to heal. People don't take the time. They don't wait. They're not patient enough to wait to get to that point to where they can look at it from a non-emotional perspective and be able to weigh in more logically. You know what I mean? Because it's a two-way street. No matter what you're talking about, whether it's a relationship, a family connection, a coworker, whatever it is, it's a two-way street. It's not all just on one person, so it's important to acknowledge when you get to the point to where you're able to look at whatever situation from a non-emotional standpoint so that you can honestly and authentically be honest, communicate with yourself about things that you need to work on to do better the next time, in whatever scenario that is. You know, that can be hard to do. Is that I mean, a narcissist is the type of person that they never do anything wrong. So they're never going to heal because they don't see anything wrong in their actions. Don't be a narcissist. Heal. See that, we all play an active part in everything around us. And until we are able to heal to the point to where we are able to see the world from multiple perspectives, a lot of times we just keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. Living in a loop like Groundhog Day. All right, that being said, I'm going to leave it here. I hope everybody has a peaceful, positive, productive day today. As always, be grateful for what you have, the big, the small, and the blessings yet to come. If you see a need out there today, tomorrow, next week, if there's any possible way that you can fill that need, please do so. You may not only better their day, you could possibly change their life, and you never know the impact it could have on yours. Be blessed, find peace, and I'll see you next time.